morning, guys, and welcome back to our Monday Movie Memo here at Cinema Blend, where we try and catch you up on everything that happened over the weekend and get you prepared for the week ahead. And if you're singing the song Everything is Awesome, it means that you're one of the millions of people who went to the theaters this weekend to check out the Lego Movie, which dominated the box office frame and landed at number 1 on the top 10 charts. Now, what number did it post? It came in with 69 million, which makes it the second all-time February opening behind only Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, which opened to 83 million. The 69 million earned by the Lego Movie also puts it way up at the top for original animated films. And that means movies that aren't a sequel or part of an existing franchise or probably don't have a Pixar brand mentioned to them already. So it's a great start for what Warner Brothers believes is going to be a successful franchise. And in fact, we're going to have something up on the site a little bit later today where we talk about the things that we know already about the Lego Movie sequel, when it might open, who's going to be writing it. We'll try and find out which vocal talents are due to come back for it. But for right now, we're just trying to process the number that the Lego Movie posted and try and get to the bottom of why it was such a big hit. I mean, I think we all thought that it was going to do really well. We just didn't know how well it was going to do, or part of the reason why it posted this big number. I've come up with 5 reasons, and the number one reason that I'm going to start with as to why the Lego Movie did so well is because of the critics. Now, listen, everybody likes to give the critics a hard time when a movie that they don't like fails. But I think that they deserve equal credit for when a movie does really, really well, because the Lego Movie currently sits at 95% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It has about 116 positive reviews and only 6 negative reviews. So I do think that, everybody says, oh, we don't read the critics. But I do think that people checked out the reviews and saw how overwhelmingly positive the response was to the Lego Movie from the critical community and decided they were going to give it a try. If it got mediocre reviews, maybe that number wouldn't have been quite as high. But 69 million for an original animated feature is a great number to post, and I think the critics deserve some credit for that. That 95% fresh, what kind of company does that put that in? Surprisingly, that means that the Lego Movie is right up there with some films that are contending for Best Picture at the Oscars this year. Gravity currently has 97% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and 12 Years a Slave has 96% fresh. The 95% fresh grade for the Lego Movie actually puts it ahead of American Hustle and Dallas Buyers Club, which both have 93%. Now, this isn't a be-all and end-all science, obviously, and it just goes to show, though, that the Lego Movie's posting numbers that would help it contend for an Oscar maybe next year. Now, of course, because it's an animated feature and the Academy has a Best Animated category, it means that even if the Lego Movie were to get itself into the Best Picture race, the way something like Toy Story 3 did, it would have zero chance of contending for the Best Picture just because the system is flawed. And the Academy will say, well, we gave you the Best Animated Oscar, you should just be happy with that. I think that that's garbage, but it does mean that the Lego Movie is putting up numbers that tends to say that it's running in the same sort of packs as something that's contending for Best Picture, and I think that's really impressive. The number 2 reason, okay, so you don't listen to critics, but you definitely listen to your friends, and the number 2 reason I think that the Lego Movie did well is positive word of mouth. I think the people that did go see it on Friday and Saturday came out raving about it and telling their friends, give it a try, go see it, bring the family, bring your kids. I can't think of a movie that I saw recently that that had more response from people who are friends of mine who I know go to the movies occasionally, but probably don't go, every weekend. I got text messages from people who were telling me, saw it this weekend, loved it, really, really funny. A lot of emails from people who were asking me about it. It just seemed like the interest level was pretty high. And if that's happening in my circle of friends, I guarantee it was probably working similarly in your circle of friends. It just seemed like the chatter was really loud on the Lego Movie. It felt like a bit of an event movie. It felt like this was a summer movie that people wanted to see an opening weekend to be part of the conversation. So positive word of mouth helped it a lot over the opening weekend, and I think it's also going to help it in the weeks to come because, there are some other films coming out that are going to vie for box office dollars, but I don't think that we have a family film coming out that's going to steal thunder away from the Lego Movie. Movies like RoboCop and Endless Love, they're just a different audience, and so Lego Movie could continue to do really well over the next couple of weeks. The third reason why I think it did really well is just a decision that Warner Brothers made back at the onset of this project, and that's bringing on the co-directors Lord and Miller. Really smart decision. Now, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they've shown over the course of their career that they just have a tendency to understand the material that they're tackling and to figure out what works about it and why audiences are going to respond to it. They did the first Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which was jam-packed with hysterical visual references. They took on the 21 Jump Street reboot, and at a time when we're seeing a lot of TV projects or TV to movie projects just sort of fail because they find one or two jokes and don't really understand why we cared about the concept, they figured a way to fashion 21 Jump Street to make it relevant to modern time. And I think that these two really got to the heart of why people play with Legos or why kids gravitate to Legos in the first place. Are we the type of person that picks up a Lego set and needs to follow the instruction booklet step by step by step? Or are we the type of creative person that just grabs Lego pieces from every different pile and jams them together into some kind of monstrosity? Those themes were resonating in the Lego movie, and I think they really connected with younger audiences and grown-ups. There's a twist in the third act, which I don't really want to get into details about if you haven't seen it yet. But I think that left a lot of parents leaving the Lego movie saying, boy, that really affected me emotionally. And then that leads back to word of mouth, and they said to their friends, listen, you should give this one a try. It's a little bit more in line with early Pixar instead of just, a loud, noisy, busy movie that's geared to keeping kids entertained. So hiring Lord Miller, very, very smart decision, and I think it's the third reason why Lego Movie connected. And Warner Brothers, if you're watching this, get these guys on board with your sequel, because they're not signed just yet as far as I know, and they're a big reason why this movie got off the ground and did as well as it did. The fourth reason is just great timing, and some of this is luck. Families are looking for options at the box office, and I think Frozen had sort of played itself out. Frozen's a huge hit, believe me, and people have gone back to see it multiple times. But, families are looking for something different. And we don't tend to have a major blockbuster that comes out in February that appeals to families. Kids are still in school. It's not a holiday frame. March, with spring break, tends to be really, really popular. But Warner Brothers took a gamble and unleashed in the first week of February. The Nut Job did well in January, but it had sort of played itself out too, and families were looking for an option. It contended against The Monuments Men, which went after a completely different audience. And I do want to point out here that George Clooney's movie opened to a solid number also. It got 22 million, an estimated 22 million at the box office, good for the number 2 slot in the top 10. And for a Clooney-directed film, that's his highest number by a long shot. So I'm really happy that adults turned out to support Monuments Men too. But those movies went after completely different audiences, and so it allowed both of them to sort of succeed. Obviously, Lego Movie put up a much bigger number, but for Monuments Men, that's a good start. So just a good window, a good frame for the Lego Movie to plug into, and it was a roll of the dice, and Warner Brothers didn't really know what other projects were going to be ahead of it or behind it, but I think they've landed themselves in a really good spot to be able to succeed and contend for the next couple of weeks. And the fifth reason why I think Lego Movie did really well also goes back to the studio decision, and it's just their marketing campaign. Lord Miller gave them a lot of material to work with, and the beautiful thing about the Lego Movie TV spots and commercials was that they could highlight what the film was without giving away a lot of the money shots, so to speak. There's still some really good cameos and hysterical punchlines waiting for you when you get into the theater, and that's not the case with so many films nowadays. A lot of times you see the best of what the movie has to offer in the marketing campaign because the studio needs to get you in the door. The Lego Movie has so many jokes from start to finish that Warner could pick and choose a few of its moments, get you into the theater, but still have plenty to show you. And so I think they did a really good job of educating the audience in the fact that this is a family film, but it has a lot of things going for it for adults, grown-ups, mature audiences, however way you want to put it. And now they can sort of spin it. They can say, well, we have a hit, and this is how we want to approach it now. Grown-ups, come with your friends. Families, you missed a lot of jokes. Bring your kids again to go see it. So, again, a lot of factors just working in the Lego Movie's favor. But these are the 5 reasons why I think that this movie really connected and hit a home run this weekend. And it's primed to continue to do really, really well. So I'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys went to go see the Lego Movie this weekend, why did you go? Why did you check it out? Did you like what you saw? Do you want to see a sequel? Do you think that the main reason it succeeded was just because families were starved for something beyond Frozen, or did Lord Miller really bring something unique and special to the table? This is the conversation that we're launching on the Monday Movie Memo. We have a couple of really interesting pieces coming to Cinema Blend in the days ahead, where we have one of our movie writers believes that Critics have been snow jobbed by the Lego Movie, and they think that it's one big advertisement for a toy company. And it's hard for me to argue with that, but I do think that it works really well as an entertaining film, in addition to maybe having some commercial aspects that one of our writers is definitely going to spotlight. We are going to get into the details of the Lego Movie sequel. We have a great feature up there, which I'm going to link to you down below, about the surprise celebrity voices that you might have missed in the Lego Movie. And then we sent our own Eric Eisenberg back to the theater too for a second viewing to catch all those jokes that you probably missed the first time through because you were too busy laughing. So, thank you for tuning in to the Monday Movie Memo. Continue to read all the great content we have on Cinema Blend and weigh in on the comment section below about the Lego Movie. How much did you like it? Maybe how much you didn't like it, and tell us why you thought it was a big success.